Steve, Chanda, Tracy, and we have a special guest with us, the CEO of the WTA, Steve Simon. Welcome to Tennis Channel Live. It is great to have you here with us. It's the first step on the road to Roland Garros here on Tennis Channel. And how are things going so far this year on the WTA?
Well, thanks for having me, and obviously it's been an exciting year on the WTA. It's great to now be going into the next swing of the clay court season, but if you look at the first of the year, it has to be excitement. 14 tournaments, 14 different winners, a lot of excitement, a lot of new names, a lot of action, which is always great.
Well, the WTA has announced a new marketing campaign, It Takes.
Yeah.
Tell us about the campaign and how it came about.
Yeah, we haven't done a campaign for many years, and we really wanted to get out there and put together a campaign that began to hopefully resonate with our fans with respect, what does it take for an athlete to be successful on the WTA Tour, or what does it take for a tournament such as here in Charleston to become a premier event, and what is behind it. So we went through a process and actually to create authenticity and to create the real personalities behind it. We went through with each of the athletes and says, what do you think it takes? What is your statement? What is it behind? The same thing with the tournaments. And hopefully it allows us to truly tell the story of what's behind these athletes, what's behind these tournaments, and hopefully that'll really resonate with our fans.
Well, Steve, we're 3 months into 2019 with the new ITF rule changes on the WTA ATP Tour, and we've heard a lot, it feels like, from some of the ATP Tour players, not so much from the WTA.
Yeah.
How's it affecting the ladies?
Well, I think it's had an effect on both sides. It's affected the men more than the women because they have a different structure with respect to their pathway from junior tennis to the professional ranks. But on the WTA side, the pathway that was there in place and what the ITF Tour, it hadn't changed in years, and it was due for some evolution and change. Anytime you have change, you're going to go through issues and people that don't like change and are used to the old system. I think that the issues that we found in the transition to date has been with draw sizes, the number of jobs available, as well as the number of exemptions with respect to what makes up the bait draw versus people that get special exemptions because of a junior ranking, an ITF ranking, a WTA ranking, etc. So I think that we're working very closely with the ITF on this, and we're going to work on whether we expand the draws, do we change the exemptions, and all of those things. But again, the WTA and the ATPs are different issues.
Yeah.
It hasn't affected our players as much, but it has. And I also think you'll see it change over the course of the year. Early in the year, there aren't as many tournaments because of the weather. It's hard to run these tournaments in indoor facilities. As you reach the outdoor season, there's much more tournaments available, so some of those challenges will also ease. But there's work to be done.
Once again, here with Steve Simon, the CEO of the WTA. Steve, you mentioned earlier 14 weeks, 14 events, 14 separate winners on the WTA. What do you think is better, having that sort of parity or having 2 or 3 major superstars that are winning a lot of tournaments?
You know, it's fun because that's one of the great conversations in sport. And you get the dynasties or the teams or the players that dominate, and they say, well, it's boring, I'm watching the same thing. Then you get all of a sudden the parity, as you might call it, where you have 14 different, and you have a different storyline every year. My personal opinion is it's going to evolve. It's going to go in cycles. There will be a player that at some point steps up and will raise above the competition. But from our standpoint, I love it because it shows how deep our product is. And what I think is great on the storylines, you don't know who's going to win each week. And you're also now seeing great fluctuations in the rankings. We have 5 or 6 players that are fighting for #1. That's a great story. You have a Bianca Andreescu that's gone from 60 to 23 in a very short period of time. So I think it's really exciting and really showing the depth and how deep and how competitive this tour is right now.
I think it's really exciting as well. You have the Anisimovas, who's 17, the Coco Gauff, who's 15, and then you've got Serena still at 37 trying to tie Margaret Court at 24. That has got to be so exciting because it's so global, so international, and yet there's something for everyone.
You bring up a good point, and I've said before, there's really a special time here, a renaissance period, because it's not too often where you have someone such as Serena and Venus and Maria who are history of the game. And in fact, Serena may be arguably the best player that's ever played. She's in that argument. Then we have a group of existing stars that have clearly established themselves, the Haleps and the Pliskavas and you know, that whole crew. And now we have this young group coming in, and so the dynamics between the three tiers and the three different levels of athlete is very exciting.
Well, we have some young up-and-coming players on the tour. One of them is Coco Gauff, who's just 14 years of age. How will the rules affect her, and how much will we see her in 2019?
Well, Coco's 15, and per our age eligibility rules, she's allowed to play 14 events this year. And then as she turns 16, she can play 17, and at 17 play 20. It's a rule that we feel very strongly of because we're trying to make sure that these players have long careers. And they're 15-year-old kids. And how often do you have 15 and 16-year-olds entering the workplace and being in that environment? Because it's much more than just playing tennis on the court. And we've seen it as the players' careers now they're playing longer, they're healthier, we're not losing them early because of injury and overplay or stress that comes with being a professional athlete. So you're going to see a lot of Coco Gauff. I think she's a very talented young player. She obviously played the Miami Open with a wild card, won a round as a 15-year-old. So we're going to see an awful lot of her over the next few years, and hopefully this helps her transition in a very healthy way to the tour.
Well, we like to say it takes a village here at Tennis Channel. It takes Steve Simon to help run the WTA. Thanks so much for joining us here.
It's a pleasure.
On Tennis Channel Live. We are leading up to the top of the hour here. We've got Belinda Bencic in action against Taylor Townsend, who took out last year's runner-up, her first top 20 win. Don't go anywhere.